The last week of the NBA season is underway. Huge wins for the Warriors and Bucks, and it's all overshadowed by Giannis Antetokounmpo's injury. What does that mean for the Bucks? What is the status of the West after the Warriors win? We'll get into seeding scenarios and more on Locked On NBA today. Let's go.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, y'all? Happy Wednesday, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On NBA podcast, where we, of course, break down all the latest and greatest from around the association. And boy, are you all in for a treat. A new duo here on Locked On NBA. No Jake Madison, no John Corrales. You've heard me a couple times. Tony East with Locked On Pacers. And joining me for the first time as a duo is Swipa from Locked On Nuggets. What a night in the league.
Yeah, it's been crazy, man. This has been an interesting night. Definitely had some interesting things happen that we were not expecting. I did not expect that Lakers-Warriors game to go that way. I did not expect the Suns to be down 35-4 at one point in time in that game. But that's just the NBA in April. Everybody's gearing up towards the playoffs. As of right now, people are fighting for seeding, but energy is going to ebb and flow, and people are going to be able to perform up to expectation better than others. And right now, there's so much intensity around trying to find the proper matchup, get the seeding that you want. And sometimes you just can't bring the energy like another team. And for the Suns to get down that much, I think it's emblematic of the time of year. We've seen them crash and fold in the playoffs before, but that's usually not till game 6 and game 7 in the second round. So just a really interesting night. And obviously starting off with Giannis Antetokounmpo, I mean, league-shattering possible news. I mean, obviously just hoping and praying for the best that is just a calf strain and it's nothing to worry about at all. But we saw this with Kevin Durant, where Kevin Durant had a calf strain, came back, looked back, and he tore his Achilles. And so we're hoping that's not going to be the case for Giannis, because he's obviously one of the premier players in league history, and we want him to be out there in the playoff setting. But Tony, man, if he misses some significant time, the Eastern Conference looks remarkably different for the rest of the year.
Yeah, what a changeup from what we thought we'd be talking about, right? Big win for the Bucks. They get over their terrible losing streak. They beat Boston, right? That's one of the hardest teams to take down in the league. They look really balanced the whole time. Late in the game, though, non-contact Giannis, after a made basket by Boston, turns around to go up the floor, takes about 3 steps, down he goes, reaching for his calf, Achilles, ankle area. I will not be the one to guess what is actually bothering him, but the Bucks via Doc Rivers did say that he's getting an MRI on, I believe, the calf and the Achilles area. Mm-hmm. So, look, this could be nothing. Maybe they play, hopefully. I believe, tomorrow night. They host the Magic. Maybe he's ready to go. Maybe it just really hurt him in a moment. But that kind of stuff doesn't happen like that unless muscle injuries in particular is usually at least some time of absence. I mean, the Bucks won, so they're still sitting pretty in the standings, but for a team that has been really wobbly this year, they're barely ahead of the rest of this East field. Like, are they in danger of losing in the first round now? If Giannis hasn't played, do they need him back? I mean, this has a lot of ramifications on the East.
Well, yeah, prior to this, they lost 4 straight. Before this game, they had lost 6 of their last 7 games, and they had been giving ground to the Orlando Magic. And so now, if Giannis misses his time, that game versus Orlando becomes huge.
They play Orlando twice.
They have to play them twice, and they're sitting just 2 games up ahead of them, and the New York Knicks are right on their tail with a game behind the Bucks. So, again, the question you asked, what is to do for the first round? They were already looking like they were going to be in hot water for the first round if they had to play versus the Heat or the 76ers as the 7th or 8th seed. But now, being in this situation, depending on how the matchup shake out, coming out of the play-in, they're not going to play, more than likely, one of the Bulls or, I just think that this situation for them right now, it's just already been really up in the air. A losing record with Doc Rivers. Huge win tonight. Huge.
Oh, yeah, we'll get there.
Right. But I think now it's just like, if you don't have one of the 2 or 3 best players in the world, this really just puts you in a really difficult spot, man. So look, for the sake of the league and for his overall health, I just hope that he's okay.
Yeah, he's been a top 5 player this year, at worst, I would say. And Dame has been good, but not, the Dame that everybody knows. And Chris Middleton's been in and out. Like, it's hard to kind of get a feel for what the Bucks are, to the point that they're playing so bad. They made a huge lineup change today, right? Patrick Beverley starts for Malik Beasley, and listen, I have a unique perspective on the Bucks because I watched the Pacers kick their butt several times this season. And to me, their biggest issue has always been perimeter defense from their guards. They just get blown by the rim all the time. I like that change. And they won the first game with it in effect. Granted, it was one game. I'm not going to read too much into that. And there was a fluky other thing that I want to talk about from this game. I don't know if you've seen the free throw attempts number, Cam, for the whole game.
Yeah.
It's wild. But so this could have been a feel-good day for the Bucks. Patrick Beverley starts. He plays well, 20-10 in 26 minutes. They beat the Celtics, but they lose Giannis. And without Giannis in a series, there's not that many teams I would pick them over, just given the kind of roller coaster nature of their season, which maybe I'm selling them short. Dame's very good, but they lost the first round last year, and it's a terrible timing injury for them.
Well, I'm not picking them over the Heat or the 76ers this season.
They got to stay in second to play those teams. I mean, they could fall to 3-4, as you said. Like it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna find out here obviously soon. Super shout out to Patrick Beverley, continues to make himself useful everywhere he goes. A 20-10 game with rebounds for a guard. Shot 8 of 13 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3. He was a plus 12. The starters dominated their minutes, and I think that giving Dame Lillard a POA defender next to him that has some intensity to him, that plays very physical, I think that's going to help him out as well. Dame only had 12 points tonight, 5 assists. It was just the game was blown out of proportion. Bobby Portis off the bench with 15 and 10 as well. They were just able to put on just enough of a masterclass with the starting unit to take down the Celtics, but the Celtics just had a bad shooting variance game. And on top of that, no Kristaps Porzingis in this game as well. So, again, we'll see. Fully healthy, I still think the Celtics are probably going to run through the Eastern Conference if they manage to avoid maybe a hot Miami team, and then obviously maybe the Philadelphia 76ers with Embiid playing, the way he was early in the season.
Yeah, no KP's big, but I mean, look at how the Celtics played. 52 3-point attempts.
Yeah,
and that's unbelievable. They took 0 free throws.
I know.
That is just an unbelievable game, and I would say that's weird, but the Bucks took 2. Giannis took 2 free throws for a whole game. This had to be the fastest game in NBA history. So it was just a weird one already. Credit to the Bucks for winning it and making this big adjustment that's going to help them. But now they have to look forward in a totally different way. They can't read too much into this because if they're missing Giannis, they'll have to adjust. And what would you do? So my idea probably would be put Beasley back in, start Beverly at the 2, Beasley at the 3, Middleton 4, Lopez 5, see what I can get out of that. But I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to have to adjust in some way.
Yeah, I mean, Dame, Pat, Chris, they could do Bobby and Brooke. They need to play versus Pat Connaughton. They need to be a little bigger. Not a lot of great options there, but again, because you want to space the floor around Brook Lopez, and it would make sense to put Malik Beasley in there. But against your Orlando Magic with Wendell and Mo and Paolo and Franz and Jalen, that's a lot of sides. And so I think in that matchup, I almost would be more willing to just roll out, Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis and just kind of see if you can match them size for size and see if you can keep up with them. But their offense for the Magic isn't going to be what gives you issue. It's going to be their half-court defense when Jonathan Isaac's out there, especially when he has Suggs and Franz and Paolo next to them. He just gives them so many issues defensively. So it's going to be interesting to see how they respond. But, man, just be honest with you, Tony. If Giannis misses any significant time, if we come back and it's like, he needs to take 2 weeks off. Well,
first round
2 weeks. The playoffs they're here. We've started already. And, and I think if you're sensitive with your calf, like that's just not something you can push. Like if you have any pain whatsoever, you don't want to force the issue. So it's just really unfortunate timing across the board.
So if I'm the Bucks, I think my end of season goals are find a way to stay in 2-3 bracket, right? You avoid the Celtics in the second round, assuming you get out of the first round. And if I can, try to play a Cleveland or somebody I just think I can beat but that's so hard to game out, right?
The Pacers, if they get into 3?
Well, the Pacers are 5-1 against them this season, but I would pick the Bucks in that series. That said, yeah, that is key for them now is can they find a matchup that without Giannis, right? They had, I forget who they played, Atlanta, I believe, a couple years ago in the first round, or he was hurt for a lot of it, and they won it.
That was in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yes. It's with Atlanta, duh. And Chris was awesome, and Drew was great, and they won that. They've shown they can do it, but they're a different team now. So lots for them to consider. And of course,
they also won the game versus the Heat last year with no Giannis as well. They made 25 threes.
Their only win without him. We'll see where this goes. Obviously, without knowing the duration, it's hard to exactly prognosticate where the Bucks go from here. But I mean, I'm usually of the opinion that a muscle injury, you're going to miss some amount of time, and there's not a lot of time left in the season. Credit to the Bucks. They won still. And it was the weirdest statistical game ever. Should we go to the West Coast now?
Yeah, let's get it.
Anthony Davis doesn't play. Tiebreaker on the line. Destiny for the 9 seed on the line. What happened in Warriors Lakers? What does it mean for the rest of us? We'll get to all of that in just a second here on Locked On NBA. But first, y'all, we have got to dive into the lovely folks over at Game Time. Game Time, the now authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer to the first pitch it gets, with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from receipt, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. What makes Game Time so great? Well, everything I just said. You know exactly what you're getting the entire time you're using the app, right? You're going to see the view from your seat, so you know exactly what it's going to look like when you get there. You know you're getting the best price because they have the Game Time guarantee. Well, they'll credit you 110% of the difference if you find cheaper tickets. You get last-minute deals. You don't get surprised by the prices. You know, I know all this stuff because I used Game Time when I was in New York to go watch the Liberty play the Dallas Wings, and it was fantastic, and the game was fantastic. You have to try it yourself. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply. Create an account, use the code LOCKEDON NBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And we're back here on Locked On NBA. Thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? You turn the volume down with all the shouting. We'll make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels at part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Swipa, whoa-wee. Warriors, Lakers, the late game. Warriors, with a win, could have controlled their destiny to be the 9 seed, to host whoever they play in the play-in tournament, which they've already clinched. They now have the tiebreaker over the Lakers. They won the game. Steph was brilliant. The Warriors were one shy of their franchise record for threes. What stood out to you about this one? And should the Lakers be worried that they might be 10th in the West when it's all said and done?
No, I mean, because they get in the play-in with LeBron and AD, I still think most people are going to put their money on LeBron and AD, just take care of their business. A single game elimination with LeBron. Today, it was just a incredible shooting game. The Warriors, they shot 63% from three and 59% from the field. They made 26 three-pointers. If you give that up, you're probably going to lose. And again, that's not even just playing bad defense and being disconnected. Obviously, that's a part of it. D'Lo he tried to bait a foul when he got hit in the face by Steph Curry and then just didn't even get back to him. And Steph obviously just drains a wide open three-pointer. And then on top of that, CP3 was getting to the rim seemingly at will in the fourth quarter. Like, there are just things that happened over the course of this game where the Lakers have not been able to stop anybody on the perimeter all year. And then now, not having Anthony Davis, that changes fundamentally how the Warriors are able to play versus the Lakers, because the biggest issue they have is that they can't create penetration. They can't switch Steph out onto a big and get him on an island. And then when they are running pick and roll, Anthony Davis is able to play at the level. He's able to ice. He's able to drop better than almost anybody else in the Western Conference versus that team. So all that he does, and then you remove that fundamentally changes how the game is played today. So I think that is a really good win for the Warriors. If I'm a Lakers fan, they wanted to move up. They thought they had a chance to move up to 8 or 7. That was their goal. They lost that today, especially. And again, it doesn't mean it's completely eliminated from the possibility, but it would be really difficult for them to do that right now. If you look at the overall standings in the Western Conference, they're now 10.5 back of first. The Kings are 10. The Kings are 10. They could have been tied, sitting with them to get in that position. And on top of that, the Suns lost. And now the Warriors are just a half game back. So ultimately, I don't think it matters all that much. I think the real question is, are the Kings able to sustain their spot in the 8 seed? Or can the Lakers hold on, win a couple more games, then get up to the 8 seed and get into the 7 seed? Because I think that's ideally what they want to do.
Yeah, the Kings have the tied for the worst record of any of the West playing or playoff teams in their last 10 games, right? They're not playing great. And Malik Monk got hurt, and Kevin Huerter got hurt, and they've had a tougher schedule. They played the Thunder tonight, were in it late, but didn't get it done. But like that is an attainable seed for these Lakers and Warriors teams. The Lakers are half game behind the Kings. They do not have the tiebreaker because Sabonis just punks AD, but they're still there in striking distance. The Warriors a game back. I don't actually know about that tiebreaker, but they're right there. And the Warriors, if they win out, they know they get 9. So they're very incentivized to try the rest of the way after this win. Like Anthony Davis being out, he had a headache and nausea, not a concussion, the Lakers said. Let me tell you, as an also sick person, Anthony Davis should not have played in this game. Credit to Anthony Davis for getting his body right. But oh my gosh, did they need him, right? For all the reasons you already said, he's a master in so many defensive coverages. The other thing that makes him important on the Lakers specifically is they, in general, have bad perimeter defenders. D'Angelo Russell is not a good perimeter defender. Spencer Dinwiddie's not a very good perimeter defender. Gabe Vincent's returning from injury. He can be, but it hasn't been. So they give up a lot of drives, and AD can clean that up or be disruptive or change, make the offense react. In this game, that's not there. And so a lot of these Warriors threes that they just never missed were them just 2 dribbles into the paint, fling it out, swing, boom, wide open. Like they just couldn't, they could get whatever they wanted. And so the Lakers need him, of course, but for such a pivotal game to not have him, that sucked from a viewing experience. And now the Lakers, they need help. They need the Warriors to lose somehow or else they're going to be 10th.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see the rest of the way. Right now, the rest of the schedule for the Warriors, they have the Trailblazers, the Pelicans, and Jazz. And the Jazz have lost 13 straight games. The Trailblazers are obviously the Trailblazers right now. And then the Pelicans, they're fighting. So 2 favorable games on their schedule. But the problem is because you don't take care of business over the course of the regular season, they're going to be playing a couple days right after that. So this is going to be a really interesting stretch of basketball because both these teams are going to be kind of pushed to the brink in order to get these victories. And the Lakers down the stretch of the rest of the games of the season, they have the Grizzlies and Pelicans. So they have 2 more games left. 2. And the Grizzlies game is going to be one that they can win, but that Pelicans game is going to be a dogfight. So the Lakers could be there, but ultimately, like if you're 9-10, it doesn't matter. You got to win anyway. And I don't really care if I got to go to Golden State or to LA to win that game. And I trust LeBron that he's going to show up, and Anthony Davis that they're going to show up and be ready to go regardless. And then they also, Steph Curry, we've seen this story before, but maybe if Steph Curry can get hot again, if they can get hot again and shoot 60% from 3, then they for sure can get it done. But man, I still think that the Lakers should feel very confident going into that matchup, given the 2 teams' history.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. That said, well, actually, this is a point in their favor. They've been good in the play-in before, and the Warriors have not. They've been knocked out of it before. So I think that also, like the Lakers were in the play-in last year, they made the conference finals, right? It's a different scenario being in the 9-10 versus the 7-8, but that matters a lot. Something you mentioned that I think is absolutely fascinating for these last couple weeks of the season, not even last couple weeks, last couple days of the season. The Warriors play 2 crap teams and the Pelicans. The Lakers play a crap team and the Pelicans. You know what the Kings' schedule is to close the season?
They got the Suns.
Pelicans, Suns, Blazers.
Yeah.
The Pelicans are not only fighting for 6th, they have the potential to muck up 8, 9, 10 in a meaningful way for them to create separation to stay top 6, top 7, top 8, or whatever. And of course, that Suns-Kings game is huge too. We'll get to the Suns for a little bit in the 3rd segment because, whew, were they bad tonight? But the Pelicans are fascinating. How these teams do against New Orleans. New Orleans has kicked the Kings' butt all season. Is going to be fascinating because it might be what decides 8, 9, 10.
Well, the Pelicans are only 1 game up at the Suns right now.
Yeah.
And they are fighting like crap to stay out of that play-in. And the NBA got what it wants. It's going to make sure that you're going to do everything you can to get in or get out of the play-in as much as possible. For the Rockets, obviously eliminated. And now for the Pelicans, look, this is going to be some really important stretch of basketball over the next 4 days, man. And I'm really curious to see how it shakes out. I have no idea. And when I tell you no idea how the bottom of the Western Conference shakes out. I can tell you on the Eastern Conference, it's completely different because the Hawks Bulls, whoever wins that game, whatever, maybe going to be the Bulls because they're one of the best clutch teams in the NBA this year. Your toast to victory is going to have to place Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo again as an 8th seed possibly. And then maybe if they win the game, now you got to play against Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, who seems to be fully locked into his power. So, look, it's just a different story in the Western Conference.
I think the NBA had to love what the play-in did tonight. Like they had how many games? 12, 13, I can't remember. All of them mattered except for Spurs Grizzlies, right? Like that, with a week to go, that's really hard to do, is make that sort of intrigue. However, I'm going to give the NBA crap again because there's one thing they did with the play-in that I hate. Remember in the bubble, Swipa, you had to be within 4 games of the 8 seed to qualify for the play-in.
Right.
Why do the Bulls, who are 7 games back of 8th, why do they get a chance at all? Just make the top 8 in the East and call it a day. This is dumb. At least the West is competitive and close. The East, that's stupid. It's just dumb. And
yeah, 37 and 42 and 36 and 43 sitting in the play-in, and
They
just
wanna
the luck
be
of a
there.
draw,
Like-
you make the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, it's silly. I hate it. But like I said, all these games mattered. Quite the night for seeding and destinies in the NBA. We're going to play real or fake as we run through the rest of these scenarios, looking ahead at the rest of the season, who can get what seed. Before we do any of that, though, this next segment is brought to us by our sponsor, BetterHelp. Sometimes we all need the opportunity to get something off our chest, big or small. Certain things can really start to get to you. It's important to let that out, especially to someone who is unbiased on your life. So today, I want to tell you guys how I really feel about something. You might be thinking the same thing this week. I just spoiled it. I should have just said it till now. I hate the play-in gap. I think it needs to be eliminated. If you're 4 or 5 games back, that's dumb. You not get rewarded with the play-in for being the 9 seed. Fix this, NBA. No one wants to watch the Bulls and the Hawks, except for SwipaCam Cat, who is very interested in my play-in takes. Therapy can be different for everyone. Most of us have bigger problems than our favorite sports team or the play-in tournament. It's important to get things off your chest every once in a while. And if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be flexible and suited to your schedule. So visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. Back here on Locked On NBA, thanks for making us your first listen once again today and every single day. You can check out Locked On Pacers, Locked On Nuggets for your second listen, or you can jump on over to Locked On's launching the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube and Amazon Fire TV in the free TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows, including this one covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available through the free Fire TV channels app. Swipa, let's play real or fake. Real or fake? The Suns are going to be a play-in team because, oh my goodness, did they just get embarrassed on their home floor by the Los Angeles Clippers?
I think real. I think the Pelicans hold on to that spot. It's going to be Suns versus the Kings, Lakers, Warriors, and it's just going to be an absolute dogfight for that 7 seed. So I do think they're going to stay in that plan. So I got real.
Yeah, this was revealing. Like, they've been playing pretty well. Everybody was talking about their really hard schedule down the stretch. They still close with Clippers, Kings, Timberwolves, right? If they beat the Kings, they'll probably lock up at least top 7. But for all the people who are Suns detractors, I don't really know where I land on the Suns because I think Kevin Durant is underrated somehow, not here or there. But I mean, this was pathetic. What happened in the start of this game? If you didn't see this or you're just hearing about Suns Clippers, the Clippers were up over 30 points in the first quarter. It was, I believe, 36-4. Was that as big as the lead got in the first quarter? I want to double check before I get that wrong. 35-4, and then Devin Booker made 2 free throws. And the Suns diddled around and clawed back a little bit and got it within, I think, 6. But the Clippers were not trying. They were up 30 in the first quarter. What? How? And they generated some good shots. I don't think they were embarrassingly bad in that quarter. They just missed all of them. And the Clippers machine, who is rounding into form a little bit, they've now won 7 of their last 10, 4 in a row. They're just tearing you apart. They don't look so staccato anymore. They got it done. That was a worrisome performance to me for the Suns, who had been playing pretty well recently, right? I was impressed with the way they had handled some of the teams around them in the standings. You know, you saw them beat the Nuggets. They beat the Pels. They beat the Cavs. They beat the Wolves. That's all great. And then all their goodwill's just gone in a game like this. And we already talked about how the Pelicans can kind of gook up everything 6 through 10. I kind of believe more in the Pelicans, who also just beat the Suns on Sunday. But I mean, that's what it comes down to in the West, and the Suns were not ready for it.
Yeah, look, I'm excited. The Pelicans hold on to 6. Pelicans versus Thunder, first round,
that would
possibly. That would be a lot of fun.
Well, I agree, but I am a sucker for a good story, and I would really like this Thunder team's first ever series to be against Kevin Durant. I think that would be really cool, just given that franchise's history. Even though I agree with you that Pelicans Thunder would be a 6 series.
Yeah, maybe they can still get up to the 2 seed, and we'll see what happens tomorrow, and all that stuff. So. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. I'm excited about it. I just think, look, I think the Suns, they get up I know they definitely get up for the Nuggets the last couple games they played, but they can go down to the depths when they need to. And they did it today. 4 points, 35-4. At that point, I mean, you're just not even locked in on basketball. Like, and there's something on the inside that happens to them as a franchise. And we've seen it now in the last couple of seasons in the Devin Booker era as he become a first-team All-NBA caliber player. They don't respond to pressure as good as you might want them to throughout the season in the fourth quarter. They've not been a good fourth quarter team. There's something about this team that when it gets to be crunch time, they just can't hold on to it. So, look, I think the Clippers, they should be better than what they are. They've been good. They've been bad. They question their identity. Ty Lue's questioned their identity. Paul George has said something about it publicly. Kawhi Leonard is now missing games here and there. He needs to be healthy. The Clippers, they're going to play the Mavs in the first round. The Mavs have never beaten the Clippers. They've never beaten the Clippers, despite what people think about how Luka played in those first two series. The Clippers won pretty convincingly. So they need Kawhi to get that done. So it's going to be, I'm telling you, the Western Conference, every round is smoke. There's a storyline. There's a great player. There's somebody that matters on both sides of the ball in the Western Conference. So it's just going to be an absolute bloodbath.
It is Russell Westbrook first triple-double as a Clipper, I believe, tonight. Paul George continued to be very good. Devin Booker, Swipa, 1 for 11. Yeah. That's not going to cut it. You wanted to close this out talking about the seeding and magic numbers of the West, and I think particularly the top of the West. Is that correct? Where the top two teams are tied, and the Thunder in third, 1 game back. It's getting tight up there. And I believe tonight is the game to decide that, basically, between the Nuggets and the Timberwolves.
Yeah. It is going to be very interesting. I can tell you that much. The Timberwolves, they asked Anthony Edwards post-game, are you going to have enough to go play Denver? He said, heck yeah, 1,000% in front of the whole audience. I love how much Minnesota fans want this. They truly believe that if they had Jaden McDaniels and Nas, they think the series could have gone different in the first round last year. And I think they really want to have this opportunity. They finished as a 1 seed once in 2004, made it to the Western Conference Finals, got smoked out by the Lakers. And so this could be an opportunity for them to do the same thing. They stay at the top of the West, get home court advantage, but then you get into a different beast with the playoffs. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. Both those teams, they have a heated rivalry because there's so many things that happened over the course of the last several years between Minnesota and Denver. And then now you got Rudy Gobert and Mike Conley coming over from the Utah Jazz, getting beat by Denver in 2020 in the bubble after having a 3-1 lead. There's narratives. There's former Nuggets on that roster with Monte Morris. Tim Connolly's over there. So this is why that's such an interesting matchup. It's going to be exciting. I can't wait. It's going to be great basketball.
I'm looking forward to it as well. I think the West, at the top of the West, is so interesting because in my head, I'm like, getting the 1 seed would be great. Home court advantage would be awesome. Do you really want to play Dallas in the second round? But do you really want to play OKC in the second round? Like, who do you want to play? Nobody, right? Everybody hopes they play the Kings. So it's just scary, and you can't decide who you're playing. It's impossible. You just got to go for the home court, I think.
That's just the way the West works, though. I don't think anybody's scared of anybody, honestly. I think the reality is you're going to have to play Ant and Rudy and Cat, who comes back, or you're going to have to play Joker, Murray, and PJ Gordon. They just went 16-4 to the finals last year. Or you're going to have to play Shea, Chet, and Jalen Will, who doesn't miss clutch baskets at all. Then you're going to have to play Kawhi, PG, and Harden. And then you're going to have to play Luka and Kyrie. And then you're going to have to play Zion and B.I. And then you're going to have to play KD and Booker and Bill. And then you're going to have to play versus maybe AD and Braun or Steph, Dre, and Clay. The West doesn't have an easy matchup. That's the difference. Everybody at the bottom has won championships, and everybody at the top has a dude that's trying to be a superstar. So this is it. It's just there is no scare. There is who wants it more, who's going to show up, who's going to take care of business, and it's going to be crazy. I'm telling you, the Western Conference is going to be crazy this year.
It's going to be awesome. Pretty much everything undecided in the West except for Clippers Mavs is probably going to be the 4-5. Everything else, we will see. If you want more on the top of the West and the Nuggets, SwipaCam and the crew at Locked On Nuggets. Matt Moore, Adam Mares, all the GOATs. We'll take you through life of the reigning champs as they prep for the playoffs. If you want to hear about a team trying to make the playoffs for the first time, you can hear me on Locked On Pacers. Pacers beat the Raptors handily in a game that was not worth talking about on the show last night. Tyrese Haliburton scored 30 points. Tomorrow, you will get Pat the Designer and Nick Angstad on all the latest and greatest from around the association, the big games, the biggest stories, and they will, of course, count it up as they do every single Thursday. Thank you all so much for listening. Have a wonderful day. We'll catch you tomorrow.